Hi there, everyone. Happy Pride. I'm Jose Lana, and these are iconic LGBTQ moments in theater you should know.
Life's not worth a damn till you can shout out, I am what I am.
This year for Pride, I've teamed up with Eric Ulloa, Roberto Araujo, the team at Playbill, and 3 other LGBTQ Broadway stars to empower and uplift you each week of Pride 2022. Each week, we're coming to you with a little mini lesson about our glorious queer theatrical history. So, let's learn a little something. So, with openly gay plays thriving and openly gay characters on Broadway, the stage was set, pun intended, for us to not only take home awards, but to show producers and investors that our stories and our experiences were not only emotionally valuable, but fiscally valuable when it came to the box office. Today, we're going to focus on the first Broadway play and musical that revolved around queer stories to not only win the Tony, but also prove to be commercial successes on Broadway. And would you believe they both had one person in common? On June 10th, 1982, right in time for Pride, Harvey Fierstein's epic 3-part play Torch Song Trilogy landed on Broadway. The play, originally 3 separate plays, had a tough start off Broadway at La Mama Theater, where critics and producers, as Fierstein recalls, said, "Fabulous writer, fabulous play, but gay. Goodbye." Nonetheless, La Mama founder Ellen Stewart continued to shepherd these plays as they took shape into the trilogy we now know. Picked up by producing organization The Glines, it transferred to the famed Actors Playhouse off-Broadway, where it drew audiences for 117 performances and where the Glines decided to set their sights on the Great Bright Way. Guess what? The bet sure paid off. Torch Song Trilogy ran for 1,222 performances and won not only the 1983 Tony Award for Best Actor, Harvey Fierstein, but made history by winning the Tony for Best Play. This very gay Broadway play took home the big prize and made even more history that night when producer John Glines acknowledged his lover and co-producer Larry Lane during his speech. "We were loud, we were proud. Could we possibly get any gayer?" Enter Jerry Herman. After a series of massive hits with Hello Dolly and Mame, the legendary composer had also seen a string of flops on Broadway and was due for another success, full of his irresistible charm and brimming optimism. But not right away. Enter successful producer of the film Grease, Alan Carr, who had his sights set on turning the film La Cage aux Folles into a Broadway musical. Problem was, he could only get the rights to the play that inspired the film, but that wasn't going to stop him. After first assembling a team comprised of Maury Yeston, J. Preston Allen, Tommy Tune, and Mike Nichols to create an American musical version of the French play reset in New Orleans entitled The Queen of Basin Street, the gay fates intervened, and it all soon fell apart and became the stuff of Ryan Murphy FX Feud series. Now, a new, all-gay creative team was assembled, with Arthur Lawrence at the helm, Jerry Herman on music and lyrics, and new Tony-winning Broadway playwright superstar Harvey Fierstein on book. First thing was first, they returned the story back to its original locale and restored the original title back to La Cage aux Folles. They also had one amazing thing going for them. Literally just one thing at that point, but it was the song that would go on to be the super hit of the show, I Am What I Am. The creation of this new musical was a bumpy road, especially with notoriously difficult and tough Arthur Lawrence objecting to casting actual gay men in the leads, and to having the characters share even a modest kiss at the end of the show. Mind you, Lawrence himself was gay. But despite all that, they were creating something special, something they wouldn't realize till they opened in Boston for their out-of-town tryout. Jerry Herman was even quoted as saying, "You know we're crazy, right? We're opening a show about transvestites in the city of Boston. We're crazy." The roar and ovation of the crowd at opening said otherwise. They had gold on their hands. It was a hit! It quickly moved to Broadway, where it was a smash running for almost 4 years and 1,761 performances. And in 1984, it made history as the first Broadway musical with queer characters at the center to take home the Tony Award for Best Musical. Not to mention 5 other Tonys it took home that night. And in a perfect reminder of the often frustrating and painful slow march towards civil rights, George Hearn was made to put on a suit to perform his show-stopping I Am What I Am during the ceremony. Network executives deciding that despite the standing ovations the show was receiving at the Palace Theater, TV audiences were not ready to see a drag queen snatched for the gods and serving realness. We had shifted. We had moved the needle forward. In fact, La Cage has taken home the Tony for Best Revival both times it's been revived. And don't worry, in the 2010 revival, the 2 leads finally kissed as they walked off in the sunset. I'll leave the last word to the man at the center of both of these history-making moments, because Harvey says it best in this quote from the 2004 PBS documentary, The American Musical. "We were always in the theater.
But whether we got seen by large groups of people or not is the difference. And this is America. And unless you can make money, it don't count. So, La Cage aux Folles, hardly the first gay musical on Broadway, but the first gay musical to make money. And that's what makes it count.
And did you know that as our community was about to face a horrifying crisis, the company of La Cage aux Folles would be at the center of the fight?
Really?
Yes, but I won't tell you about it until next week.
So here's where I leave you this week and tell you to keep going. Keep Googling, keep researching, type in these topics. I gave you an appetizer and there's a whole feast out there. We'll be back next week with a new host and a new topic to remind you of the powerful history of our gorgeous, diverse community. Happy Pride, family.
Lord,